What if the most decisive naval battle of World War II was won before a single shot was fired? In June of 1942, Japan brought 4 aircraft carriers to destroy the U.S. Navy for good. But the Americans already knew where and when the attack would come. Not because they had more ships, not because they had better planes, because they had broken the code. This is the Battle of Midway, the ambush that turned the Pacific War. By early 1942, the Pacific War looked grim for the United States. Pearl Harbor had shattered the fleet. The Philippines were collapsing. Japan's empire was expanding faster than anyone thought possible. At the center of Japan's power were aircraft carriers, floating airfields that could strike hundreds of miles away without warning. Japan believed that if it destroyed America's remaining carriers, the war in the Pacific would be over. The Midway Atoll became bait. A tiny outpost guarding the approaches to Hawaii. If Midway fell, Pearl Harbor would be exposed. And the U.S. Navy would be forced to fight on Japan's terms. Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto believed one decisive battle could end the war. He was wrong. If you want to understand World War II as a connected story, not just isolated battles, subscribe to the channel. We're telling the war chronologically, episode by episode, using restored footage to show how it all fits together. What made Midway different wasn't firepower. It was intelligence. American codebreakers had partially cracked Japan's naval code, known as JN-25. They couldn't read every message, but they could read enough. A mysterious objective kept appearing in Japanese communications. AF. U.S. intelligence suspected AF meant Midway. But suspicion wasn't enough to risk the fleet. So Midway sent an unencrypted radio message claiming its water system had failed. Soon after, Japanese communications reported that AF was short on fresh water. That single message confirmed everything. Japan was coming for Midway, and the Americans were ready. For the first time in the Pacific War, the United States knew where the enemy would strike and when. Japan's plan for Midway was bold and dangerously complex. Its forces were divided across vast distances. Carrier groups would strike Midway, while diversionary fleets would draw American attention elsewhere. Battleships would follow behind to finish the job. Japanese commanders believed surprise was guaranteed. They assumed America's carriers were still reeling from earlier defeats and would take the bait. What they didn't know was that Admiral Chester Nimitz had positioned his carriers northeast of Midway, hidden, silent, waiting. Enterprise, Hornet, and Yorktown repaired from battle damage in just days. Japan expected to set the trap. Instead, it sailed straight into one. Before we get to the moment everything changes, this is a good time to subscribe. Battles like Midway only make sense when you see what came before and what comes next. On the morning of June 4th, Japanese aircraft struck Midway. But the island wasn't neutralized. As Japan prepared a second strike, U.S. aircraft began arriving. Disorganized, unsupported, and outmatched. Torpedo squadrons flew low and slow, straight into a wall of fire. They were destroyed. Entire units vanished in minutes. On the surface, it looked like failure. But those attacks forced Japanese fighters to stay low. They kept carrier decks in constant motion. They prevented the Japanese from organizing a clean counterstrike. Unknowingly, those doomed crews were buying time. And above them, high in the clouds, American dive bombers were searching. Just after 10 a.m., everything changed. American dive bombers broke through the clouds. Below them were Japanese carriers at their most vulnerable. Packed with fuel, bombs, and aircraft. Bombs slammed into the carriers Akagi, Kaga, and Soryu. Explosions tore through hangar decks. Fire spread uncontrollably. Three of Japan's 4 fleet carriers were destroyed almost simultaneously. Later that day, the final carrier, Hiryu, was found and destroyed as well. Japan lost 4 aircraft carriers, its most experienced pilots, and the offensive momentum of the Pacific War. Midway didn't end the war, but it changed its direction forever. It proved that modern wars could be decided by intelligence, timing, and decisions made long before the first bombs fell. This was the Battle of Midway. If this helped you understand why Midway mattered and how the war began to turn, consider subscribing. The story only gets more intense from here. Coming up next, Stalingrad, the battle that turned Hitler's invasion into a death trap and became the deadliest confrontation in human history.